Today I'm with Keith Newton with his layout Rosedale. Keith, would you like to introduce it?
Yes, thank you. This is Rosedale. It's my 7mm scale layout of a fictitious station in the Derbyshire Dales in 1899. Okay, right from the start I wanted to get the track work correct for the Midland Railway in 1899. So you'll see from here every section of track is on 30 foot of rail. Also the sleeper spacing was different for every single sleeper in the 30 foot. So there's 11 sleepers with the N2 very much closer together, and these get progressively further apart until you get to the middle, and then they go back again to the same system. So that does make it look different. These are 10-inch sleepers, and I've used the S7 method of using exacta scale chairs with walnut sleepers. So the other thing I wanted to do was get the point rodding and signal wires as accurate as I could, and one of the things I learnt from research of the Midland Railway was they were very much against facing points. But when they did have to have a facing point, they would have a facing point lock. And in fact, in the early days, they had what was called an economical facing point lock, which I've modelled here. And even under the cover, the actual detail of the economical facing point lock is all built in a brass etch. You can see there's only one connecting rod that goes back to the signal box because it's done on one lever from the signal box. I've also modelled the sword locks for the signals here and the signal wires, as well as the point rodding. Okay, I'm using Alex Jackson couplings, and I'm just moving the loco back here over the magnet, and that will have uncoupled it, and now I can move the loco forward. Okay, this is the control panel for Rosedale, which is at the front of the layout, because as an exhibition layout I want to be able to run it from the front and show people how to operate the layout. I wanted it to look Victorian as the layout is, so there's no sort of bells and whistles and lights on this. It's all with levers, just as if they're in the signal box itself. So the red ones are signals, the blue ones and black ones are the points. And these are the DCC Concepts lever frame. I've also had to add some switches at the front, which are labelled U1, U2, U3 for the uncouplers, which are magnetic uncouplers under the track, and it all works from here. The actual signal box diagram is in the typical style of the Midland Railway in 1899 too. This is the quarry section, which is obviously work in progress and the last piece to fully scenic. But I wanted the quarry to show it in a much earlier period than the 1899. So this is track work from around about the 1850s, where I've used fish belly rail and a stub point. So here you can actually see the fish belly rail section. So every one is built like this onto effectively stone mounts. Okay. So this is the stub point, which again is a very early version that was built in the quarries in this sort of era, and you can see that there's no point blades. The blades actually move from here. Okay, so this is Rosedale, the village of Rosedale, which came about from a visit by Paul Bambrick about 5 years ago to my house, where he looked at what I was doing with the track work and said we could do an awful lot with the scenery, and I really liked the ideas, and what Paul suggested was a 3D backscene. So most of the back scenes are about 10 inches deep. The Rosedale one's probably 20 inches on the curve here, and what you can see is that from the wall here, we're at 7mm to the foot, but as soon as I get to the fence, that's actually at 6mm to the foot. Then the buildings in the foreground here are probably around about 4mm to the foot, going to 3mm and 2mm right beyond. The church is probably at 2mm. They're also in a forced perspective mode, so that the actual angles of the roofs, if you saw them from above, aren't what you expect. They're actually all guiding your eye into the far distance. And then there's a back scene at the back there with a very steep hill and trees, and then it curves over into the back scene where Paul has painted the back scene onto an aluminium panel. So looking at the back scene again, there was very little room behind Rosedale station itself, but within about 3 or 4 inches of depth, Neil Podbury and myself have been working on the trees here, all the way out to Paul's sky back scene. So you can see it's very much Derbyshire, and very much lots and lots of trees. The time period again was 1899, but we've chosen about October so that the trees are just starting to turn autumn.